start with the object-oriented concepts. Alright, I'll make a new class over here, and we can name it something like phone. Alright, this is phone.java. Alright, what are the properties of the phone? Say for example, string the name of the company to which the phone belongs to, int price, the price of the phone. These are two properties of the phone, right? Okay, now you write over here, say public void call. This is one of the functions of the phone. Alright, so this phone has got two properties, two variables, company and price. Right, I'm assuming you know basic things, what variables are, what a function is. Fine, right? If you don't know, I again repeat, you can go for the pre-recorded session, get some background, watch them, and then join the training. It will help you. Alright, so this is the phone class having two variables and a function called call, in which I'm writing phone calling. Alright, now suppose I create a new class known as user, the user of the phone. Okay, if I write over here phone p, or if I just write new phone. Now what is this? When you write new phone, this is technically known as creating object of the class. Right, this is the phone class and I'm creating the object of the phone class out here. For example, in the memory what happens is that the object of the phone class gets generated. It's got the properties like company, price, and the call function inside it. Okay, if I write again new phone, in the memory another object would be created, and that other object will also have the properties like company, name, and the call function. Okay, fine, but you cannot access these objects. These objects have to be accessed with object reference. I can write phone p1 equals to new phone, phone p2 equals to new phone again. So what happens is that in the memory P1 becomes a reference, P2 becomes P1 and P2 will be object references. Alright, P1 reference will point towards this one and P2 will point towards this object. Okay, fine. With P1 I can access the properties and functions of this object, and with P2 I can refer the other object. I can write over here P1 dot company is, say, Apple. P1 dot price is 500. Similarly, I can write P2 dot company. You will get these variables is Samsung. P2 dot price is 400. So you have the two phone references P1 and P2 which point towards different objects, and both these objects, they have the variables, right, which will point towards different values. For P1 the company variable is Apple, for P2 the company variable is Samsung. Although in phone class we just have one variable, but by creating the object of this class we can assign a different value to every object. Alright, fine. So if I write over here system.out.println p1.company and system.out.println p2.company and run this, p1.company will print Apple and p2.company will print company. Similarly, if I write p1 dot and I call the call function and I write p2 dot call, what's there inside the call function? Inside the call function you are just printing phone calling, right? So when you run this, this will print phone calling 2 times. But out here if I write phone calling plus the company to which the phone belongs to, okay, and now when I write p1 dot call, when p1 calls its function call, then call function will access the company variable from p1 itself. Okay, so when you run this now, it will print phone calling Apple, phone calling Samsung. When p1 calls the call function, it prints the company name of p1, and p2 calls, it prints the company name of p2. Alright, so this is what objects are. So this is the object in the memory, this is the reference. P1 and P2 are actually not the objects. Many people say that P1 and P2 are the objects. No, they are references. If tomorrow if I go and write here P1 equals to P2, what will happen? In the memory, hold on. In the memory, P1 will stop pointing towards this and it will start pointing towards the same location where P2 is pointing. Okay, P1 is the reference, and now if you write over here p1.company and p2.company, after you have pointed p1 to p2, if you print it, it will print both Samsung because p1 is pointing towards the same location where p2 is pointing, which is Samsung. If p1 changes the name, p1.company, if I write over here Nokia, it will change for both of them. Okay, if you run this again, it will print Nokia. Although this is the very basic thing, fine. Sometimes in interviews you can ask them. Selenium you will also, if you're stuck, you'll require them at times, fine. But what I am trying to tell you out here is that there are 2 objects and 2 references to the objects. Objects, they are fixed in the memory. The references, they can change locations from one object to another object. Okay, fine. Right, now this is coming back to the phone class, right? So I created 2 variables in the phone class, company and price, right? Both variables become the part of the object. If I create the object of the class, both the variables, they are the part of the object and this function as well. Technically both these variables are known as non-static global variables. Okay, this is also a non-static global variable, this is also non-static global variable, this is a non-static function. Okay, Fine. Right now, if I write something like this, static int keys equals to like or hold on, number of batteries. Now this is a static variable. Technically, this is known as a static global variable. How is static variable different from a non-static? What is the meaning of static? Look, static will be something which is common for all the objects. It will not be the part of the object. In our diagram over here, these were the two objects. Only the non-static components, they reside inside the object. The static component would be somewhere over here in the memory. Okay, number of batteries, right? Right, and it will be common for all the objects. Okay, and we all know that the number of batteries for a phone is equal to 1. So there is no meaning of creating a static non-static variable, no number of number of batteries, and keep on initializing it to 1 for every object. So we make it static, and static is something which becomes common for everybody. If I have to access the static component of the page, sorry, of the class, you can access it directly. I can write phone dot number of batteries equals to 1. You don't need to create the object of the class. I cannot write phone dot company is equal to Nokia. I'll get an error. Company is a non-static variable. To access the non-static variable, you have to create the object of the class. But to access the static variable, you can access it directly with the class name dot static variable. Okay, fine. Or for example, a function like public void print, say phone. For example, public void print number of batteries. Inside it, you can go and print. You'll make this function also static, number of batteries. So this is a static function. Static function also will not be the part of the object. If you have to call it, you can call it directly by writing the class name dot the function name. So static components of a class, they can be directly accessed with the class name dot the static function or property, whatever it is. But the non-static things have to be accessed by creating the objects of the class. Non-static thing will be different. Non-static variable can have a different value for every object which is created. But the static component will be, you can say it will have the same value for, it will remain same, right? No matter what, because it will not be the part of the object. I hope I am getting this thing very clear. If you have any questions, please feel free to ask me. Any questions from anybody? I hope you understood, right? So if you feel that you have not understood, or if you have any doubts, okay, there is nothing to worry. You can please feel free to ask me any type of question, right? I'll answer it. Okay, right? Now, how do we use these things in Selenium? Look, in Selenium, everything is pre-built. You don't have to build it yourself. You just have to create the objects of the existing classes in Selenium, and you need to work with those objects. Okay. For example, over here I made the phone class and then I made the object of the phone class. In Selenium, a class equivalent to the phone class would already be built in. You just need to create the object of that class. That class gets all the Selenium classes, they get imported into your workspace when you actually import the jar files. Fine. So what I'll do is over here I'll write over here new class. Fine. And I'll name the class as Selenium example. Okay. Now in Selenium, if you write or if you look at, if I'm correct, we cannot refer non-static if the class is. Yeah, obviously yes. I never talked about private and public right now, Raj. Access modifiers, I haven't talked about it. Yeah, if you keep the class private, you cannot access anything in private. Not at all possible. But I don't think so. Java will let you create a private class. Hold on. No, you cannot create private classes in Java. That's what I was wondering. Well, what's the use then of creating the private class? You can't even access it. You cannot do anything. Okay. Yeah. If you're not able to understand what this private is, just don't. Please ignore this. Fine. You will get to know. Right. I'll come over to this topic as well. I was just answering one of the questions. All right. Now, moving further. All right. Now, in Selenium, if you look at the documentation of Selenium, you go to the website seleniumhq.org. Yeah, this is the Java docs. Okay, these are all the existing classes. Okay, one of the classes out here is Firefox driver. Okay, if you open up this Firefox driver class, this is the class Firefox driver, and inside it, if you read, it's written an implementation interface that drives Firefox. Basically, this class is responsible for doing the testing on Firefox. Alright, so in your Selenium example.java, if I write new Firefox driver, you get an error under Firefox driver, right? You have to import it. Okay, you import Firefox driver, and now when you run your program, you will see that a blank Firefox window will open up. Hold on, you see that? If you just create the object of this internal class Firefox driver, you get a blank Firefox window. Right. If you write over here Firefox driver equals to new Firefox driver or Firefox driver F1. So you are pointing F1 towards this object. Alright. And with F1 you can access all the non-static functions which are pre-built inside Firefox driver. See how many functions are there. Right, get the title of the page, get the screenshot of the page, get the mouse, right, find the element on the page, kill, close, quit. A lot of things are there. Okay, we'll talk about them. We'll talk about the function like get. Get will get you to a URL. For example, I write over here http yahoo.com. Fine, and I run this. So this get function will actually navigate the Firefox which will open to the website Yahoo. Right? Okay. Now many times people they do a mistake. You write www.yahoo.com. Okay, and when you run this, the browser opens, and eventually you get an error. Okay, you have to make sure that you write the protocol. When you, this is not like QTP, where you just write the simple website name. If you worked on QTP, it's not like that. Alright. Now, when you work with this, you have got other functions as well. For example, .quit. This will close the Firefox. Right. Now, all these functions and these classes they are inbuilt. Firefox driver is somewhere inside this reference library jar file. Alright. So when you run this, it will open up Firefox, take you to Yahoo, and it will close the browser. You see that? The browser gets closed. Fine. Alright. Now similar to Firefox driver, there are other drivers as well. For example, I'll tell you how many drivers are there. If you go to the documentation, then these are the drivers which are there in Selenium. Android driver, Android WebDriver. Look, you can not test your Android applications with Selenium. Many people think that Android driver can test your Android applications. Well, it can test how your website is opening on Android. Selenium is a browser automation testing tool. It's not for desktop-based applications or something. So if you test how your website is opening on Android, you can use this driver. Similarly, you have got iPhone driver as well. Okay, I never worked on iPhone driver to be very honest. I worked on Android, and on iPhone as well. You can test your website, right? You have got Firefox driver, which I just talked about. Okay. Similarly, for Chrome, you have got Chrome driver. Event firing web driver. I will talk about this as well. This is something which can help you do native events and all on the browser. Okay. And Safari driver is for Safari. Okay, but it is actually not working fully, right? Many things they I have seen that in Safari driver they fail to work. Okay, you have got remote web driver which is actually used with Selenium GRID when you are running your test cases in parallel. All right, so these are all the drivers which are there in WebDriver. All right, and we just talked about Firefox driver. Okay. Anju, what is the error which you are getting? Many times you fail to get the binary. Okay. You might not have included all the jar files of Selenium, Anju. Please double check if you have included all the jars of Selenium. Okay, I'll have to look at your code. I'll do that. Can you mail me your code? I'll have a look at it and the complete exception. I think you have your email ID. You are having a conversation with me, right? Okay. Yeah, thank you. Fine. So this is the Firefox driver object which I created, and I have navigated to a website and I've closed it. Similarly, you have got Chrome driver as well. You create the object of the internal class known as Chrome driver, right? You have to import Chrome driver as well. When you run this, all of you will get this error. Illegal state exception. The path to driver executable must be set by some property WebDriver.Chrome.driver property. Look, you cannot just directly work with Chrome driver. What you need to do is that you need to download something for Chrome driver. You go to the Selenium website, okay, go to the download section of the website and scroll down. You will see this text over here, third party browser drivers not developed by Selenium HQ. Fine. This is the browser Chrome. Okay. This is the download page. You go to this download page and you will have various exe files out here. Alright. One of them would be for Windows. This is the one. You download them. You download it. Alright, I'll download it. Hold on. And place it anywhere in your PC. For example, I'll place it in my G drive. When you extract it, you'll get this chromedriver.exe file. Don't run this, you'll not get anything by running this. Alright. Now what you need to do is that you need to set a system property to work with Chrome driver. You have to write the command system.set property. Look, system is an internal class in in Java, and set property is a static function inside the system class. That's why I'm able to call it directly with the class name dot the function name. Remember static stuff I explained you? You can call phone dot number of batteries because number of batteries was static. Similarly, system dot set property. Okay, system is the inbuilt class. Like phone was the class which I created. In this, I created the variable number of batteries. To access this variable or to access this function, print number of batteries. What was I doing? I was just writing phone dot the variable name, phone dot the function name, right? Because these things are static. Static properties can be accessed directly with the name of the class dot the property name. So system is an inbuilt class and set property is a static function inside it. If you move your mouse over set property, you'll get the description as well. Right? This is a static function. Alright. So the key for this is you have to write WebDriver dot Chrome dot driver, and the value for this property you have to put the path of your exe file, that is G drive Chrome driver.exe which you downloaded. In Java you have to give double slash in the path. Okay, so this Chrome driver.exe is made by basically the Chrome guys, and make sure that Chrome is also installed on your system. Fine. So when you run this, now Chrome will open. Alright. So for working with Chrome, you have to set this in system property, and you can write over here c1.get to the URL yahoo.com and c1.quit. Fine. So you run this, it will open, take you to Yahoo, and it will quit the browser. It will close the browser automatically. Fine. No, you cannot declare it. You have to declare it whenever you open the Chrome. Don't declare it in the system environment. Right. Now similarly,
what is the name of the editor? The Eclipse.
Eclipse, yes.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, Eclipse is the editor. Fine. If you want the download link, right, I'll give you. Hold on. Go to Google, type download Eclipse. This is the link, Eclipse IDE for Java EE developers. Fine. These are the links for 32-bit and 64-bit. You download this one. Okay. Depending on your operating system, you can download it from here. Alright.
Thank you.
Welcome. Alright. Now coming over to that another important driver known as, look, if I Internet Explorer driver. If you type IN, this is a feature in Eclipse. If you just like type INTER and hit Control Spacebar, you will get all the class names which start from this word. So if you write internet, it will keep on filtering it, and you can see that the Internet Explorer driver is coming over here. You can select it. So this is another smart way to do it. Okay. Similarly, if I write FIRE, you will get all the classes which are starting with the name FIRE. So one of them is Firefox driver. Okay. At times you are not able to recollect the name or something like that. You can use this. Okay. Internet Explorer driver IE equals to create the object of Internet Explorer driver. Fine. Now this will not work straightforward. If you run this, hold on, you will get an error again. Similar to Chrome driver, there is an exe file for iDriver as well, which you have to download. Okay, this file is again available on seleniumhq.org. Right, you have to go to the download section here, right, and you will see that this is the Internet Explorer driver server written, and you have got 32-bit I or 64-bit I, whatever you have. You download it for it. Okay, I'm downloading. Hold on. Yeah, this is the one. You take this. I'll put it in my G drive. Extract it. So this is iDriver server.exe. So in your code you have to write system.setProperty WebDriver.i.driver. Now I'll tell you something. Many times people do a mistake here. They tend to keep W for WebDriver capital, or they keep I as capital. Don't do that. Okay, keep everything in lowercase. Java is a case sensitive language. Alright, and now you give the path of that exe file. I have kept it in my G drive. Fine. Now when you run this, you see that. Hold on, I'm getting this firewall error. Okay, let me run this again. Yeah, you get this page. This is the initial start page for WebDriver server. It runs on a local host as a proxy. Fine. But hold on, there's a question being asked. Files for Chrome and I are not in reference libraries. Yeah, they are not in reference libraries. You have to download these drivers exe files separately. You have to download them separately. Now one thing more, I have got Windows XP with me. If you have, most of you might be using Windows 7 or Windows 8 having i9, i10, i8. I've got, I don't have, I think I have i7 or something. Look, if you are using Windows 7 or Windows 8, you have to bring the privacy levels in I, protected mode levels in I to the same level. Hold on, I'll tell you what you need to do. In Windows 7 or Windows 8, there is a mandatory settings which you need to do for working with I. Hold on, I9 protected mode. Hold on, I'll tell you with an image. If you go to tools options, of your I in your system, yeah, you'll get a window like this inside security, right? For all these four levels, I mean internet, local intranet, trusted site, and restricted sites. These are the four you can say icons. For all these four icons, this level should be the same, or you turn it off. Okay, I turn it off, right? If you have, again I repeat, if you have Windows 7 or Windows 8, go to Tools Options in IE, and for all these four, you have to make sure that this level is same, or you simply turn it off. Right? The protected mode, otherwise you'll get an error known called something saying that the protected mode of IE is not okay or something like that. Alright. Yeah, all versions of IE the same file. For IE6 you don't even need it, but nobody uses IE6 these days. Right. So fine, in IE also you can write I dot get the URL HTTP say in dot any website, say CNN.com. Fine. So when you run this, you have IE opened up and I will move over to CNN.com. Fine. Operation aborted. Quite weird. Oh, I have got an older IE with me, that's why. Okay. Now there's a thing over here. Even if I have closed the browser, fine. If I go to the task manager, you'll see that iDriver.server would still be executing. Okay. So this process never ends. Even Chrome driver.exe will keep on running. You see this exe file over here, Chrome driver.exe, it is still running. To make sure that this process closes, alright, make sure you write I.quit and the driver.quit command in the end. This will quit the process. Okay. Now if you run this, see it closes it. I have an older version of I, that's why I'm getting a little error. But if you work on I8 or I9 or I10, and you will not get this kind of error. Okay, so basically you have got three drivers which I explained, and these are the major browsers on which you need to test on. Fine, and this is how you open the browser. Simply navigate to the websites, and you simply click somewhere. Okay, now the question arises: if I have to click on a link in Firefox, if I have to click on a link in IE, and if I have to click on a link in Chrome, is the procedure different or is the procedure same? The way you manage Firefox and the way you manage your components inside Chrome and the way you manage your components inside IE, is that way different? Okay, well the answer is no. And why is it no? It can be understood with the concept of interfaces in Java. Interfaces, they are very important part of object-oriented programming. Fine. I'll not start with interfaces today, I'll start with them tomorrow. But what I mean to say is that you cannot just say that fine, Firefox driver is different than Chrome driver. So the way you manage a checkbox in Firefox driver will be different than the way you manage checkbox in Chrome driver, and it will be different the way you manage a checkbox in iDriver. It's not like that. Okay. So anybody having any questions till now? Because I want to moving further, I don't want to confuse you on the very first day. I've just taken simple Java program, told you about jar files. I told you about downloading the jar files in your local system and configuring them. I talked about simple object-oriented programming, and I talked about the application of the object creation part of object-oriented programming in Selenium. That is, we create the objects of existing classes in Selenium and we work with them. Yeah, Raj, tell me, what question do you have? Yes. Anybody else? Do we have to keep Selenium jars in the same directory? No, no, no. You can keep it anywhere. You can keep Selenium jars anywhere. You don't need to keep Selenium jars where you have installed Java. You don't need to keep them there. Okay. Any questions?
Yes, Ashish. Okay, I mean, it appears that every time you open any browser, then we have to download the WebDriver for this browser.
I can't get you. Can you repeat that? Every time I open a browser?
Yes, I mean, because Selenium works on all the browser, right?
Yeah.
And but what you show that every time we open the different browser, we have to download the WebDriver for that browser, right?
For Chrome and IE, you have to download the exe file.
And how about the Firefox? You don't?
No, you don't have to do that. Firefox.
Okay, but can you work on the Safari or not?
Safari, to work on Safari, you have to first of all register yourself as a developer with Apple on their website. Okay, they give you a certificate, they give you a key. That key you have to include inside Safari, and then you have to work with it.
Okay, so it's not.
It's not a very simple process. Okay. It's a very tedious process.
Okay, got it. Thanks.
Yeah.
I have a question. For the window is already open. There are like 4 or 5 tabs are there. It's a Java question. Now, one of them is sample.java, one of them phone.java. The way you move the windows, I'm just a little confused. Can you just again, just quickly go under tab each one of them and say like which one was the object, which one was the class?
Okay. The first file which I made was sample Java example.
That was okay.
Right. After that, I made sample.java in which I printed just non-Selenium, and I created. You see that I'm creating the object of an internal class date here. When I run this, it prints the system date. Okay. Now after that, I told you about the phone class in which I kept various static and non-static components inside this class, and through user class, I created the object of the phone class. Okay, and I told you what objects are.
But the phone, the phone you just see here, this is the same that we created in the phone.java. Are you like in the last one? Okay.
So in user.java, I'm creating the object of the phone class.
Right. Okay.
Okay, phone class cannot be executed because phone class has got no main function inside it. Phone class has got just some properties inside it. Okay. In the user class, I create the objects of this phone class.
Okay. The user reads from the phone.java.
Pardon?
The user.java reads the data from phone.java. Like
yes. Yes.
That's what the confusion was. Okay. Now I get it.
The user class has got the main function. Any class having the main function can be executed. Okay.
I get it. Thanks.
Now in the end, I created Selenium example in which I told you how to create the objects of existing classes.
Yeah, I got. Yeah, I got that. I was confusing with user. Thanks.
No problems. Fine. So I have recorded this session. I will be giving